I always like to remind folks we're always dealing with individuals. There's no one size fits all. There is no, well, if you just do these three things, you're going to keep everybody retained and on track to graduation. And you could attest to this based on the students that you interact with and work with on a daily basis. Some of them have handled the pandemic, much better than others. Some of them are used to dealing with crises because, realistically, a lot of their lives have been in a crisis almost from day one. So they've got really good problem-solving skills. They just see this as one more kind of bump on the road to life. You've got other students that have never had to deal with anything like this before, and so they've been a lot more needy and in a good way. And it's very important that we respond to everybody as individuals. I've always been against the one-size-fits-all approach that sometimes we develop in higher education. And so I think if we're going to retain more students, we're going to have to really diversify our approaches to how we do that. There's three skills I'm always advocating for that all faculty and staff, all professors, student affairs professionals at all levels need to know. They need to know how to recognize basic symptomology. We don't need to know how to diagnose people, but everyone on campus that works in a professional capacity needs to know the basic symptoms of depression, for example. They need to know what the flags are, that when or referral might need to be made. They also need to know how to make referrals, and they need to know how to consult. Now, I've spent a lot more time on these things. I've actually spent a whole hour before doing presentations. I spoke to our entire college one day on the need for training in these three different areas. What we're talking about here, this is especially critical now. If we've got students that we want to retain as many students as possible, we're not looking at the academic component as much. This has always been the case at my institution, and maybe it's been the case at yours. Most of the students who leave here don't flunk out. They don't go on academic probation and then make it. They leave here because they're not happy. And they're not happy for a number of reasons, and we have to be really tuned into those reasons right now during the pandemic. But all faculty, staff, everybody that works on a college campus needs to know how to recognize those things, how to make an effective referral, meaning that the student actually wants to follow through and go to the counseling center. And we need to know how to consult with mental health professionals. We need to know how to consult with, police officers, those types of things. But we need to know how to consult with other folks about their issues. So I think one of the things that will really set the foundation for making sure that we retain more students during the pandemic is making sure that all of our personnel on campus know how to do these three things fairly well.